20 years of inflationary data tell a very, very interesting story. Some areas of our life are absolutely surging in cost. Other areas are actually declining in cost. What's this all mean to you? Got 4 big takeaways coming up. My name is Mike Bernard. I'm the host of the Wise Money Show. I'm also one of the certified financial planners right here at Korhorn Financial Group. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and smash that thumbs up button. Speaking of smashing, I get in my car this morning, very cold. It's a cold Midwest day. Get in my car and I look at my fuel tank, my fuel gauge, and I'm close to empty. And I've got lots to do. And so run to Costco. I filled up my car for $25.06. It was $1.69 a gallon. I know 2020 gets a bad rap, but my goodness, I remember when a gallon of gas was $4. So listen, 2020 is not all bad. When I got my license back when, mid 90s, I remember price per gallon was, $1.05 or 95 cents, $1.05, somewhere in that range. And again, I've seen it at $2.50, I've seen it at $3.50, I've seen it over $4. And gosh, man, I was pleased to fill up the tank at $1.69. We'll see as the economy gets back online here post-COVID if we see those prices go up. Speaking of, what's the deal with inflation? Some new data came out from one of my favorite authors, and it's very, very interesting, tells a very interesting story, and there's a few takeaways I'm going to point out. Let's dive into the numbers. Take a look here. There's a lot going on in this chart, but everything red, okay, is trending. Prices are trending over the past couple decades higher than average inflation, okay? And then the areas in the blue are the products and goods and services that are actually declining in price and have declined in price significantly less than average inflation. If you dive in here, the straight line across there, overall inflation, now this is total overall inflation over the past 2 decades, it's been 59.6. But we know from the Fed, this is going to be one of the takeaways, the Fed has said we want to increase inflation. Because when you average all of this stuff out that you see here on this chart, and then everything else that, all the other lines that aren't even on this chart that make up inflation, you average it all out, it equals that 59.6. And the Fed is actually saying we're going to do everything in our power to increase that even more. Gosh, that should scare us. So the areas in the red, here's sort of the first takeaway here. Hospital services, college tuition fees, textbooks have gone down. Thank you, Amazon and other retail online suppliers. Childcare, nursery. Average hourly wages, that's actually above inflation. Now I know there's areas that are certainly below inflation, certain areas of the employment world and labor market. Housing, food and beverage, that's keeping up with inflation. New cars are below, household furnishings below, clothing, cell phone, TVs going below are declining in value. Yeah, new TV, give or take, the bells and whistles, about $1,000. That is lower than where they were even a few decades ago. So that's good. You bake this all together, it's average inflation. What's the first takeaway? You look at that, hospital services, college tuition, medical services, those are the things we need. The first takeaway, the things that we need are skyrocketing in price and have done so over the past 2 decades. The things that we want are going down in price. So the big takeaway for me, the first big takeaway is how can I neutralize, how can I get on top of those needs of mine? Because I can't say, well, I'm no longer going to need healthcare. No, of course you will. I'm no longer going to go to college or help my kids go to college. No, we need an education, right? My kids, I'm no longer going to send my kids to a child care service. No, you have kids, they need to be cared for while you're at work if you're going and working outside the home. So these are things that for many of us we can't really avoid. So we've got to manage them. And baked in that, the first one, my takeaway, I'm not going to lecture you on this, but my takeaway, love a bowl of ice cream at the end of the day, love to eat unhealthy, it's just enjoyable, food is comfort for me, and it's enjoyable, but with rising healthcare costs, one takeaway is how can I be more healthy? How can I live a healthier lifestyle? That would be one. The second, when it comes to educating kids, and if the cost of education is skyrocketing, and of course, we've talked on the show before about Biden doing a $50,000 student loan cancellation. We'll see. I mean, who knows? There's pros and cons with that. Who knows? We'll see. But the price of education is absolutely skyrocketing. So if that's a goal of yours, start early. Start early. Try to find a way to have your kids get college credit while they're in high school, those sorts of things. Take as much ownership of these things as you possibly can. So that's the first takeaway. The needs are skyrocketing in price. The things that we want are going down in price. So how can you neutralize those needs and the rising costs of them? Second big takeaway that I have is the Fed is actually saying they are wanting to increase inflation. So it's very possible that the things that we want, those areas in blue, they actually might start going up. They might start going up in price with what the Fed's doing, the Fed printing. And again, this isn't me just saying, well, the Fed printing is going to lead to inflation. They've actually said we want to increase inflation. They want to heat up the economy even more. And so be aware of that and just know that life as we know it might get more expensive. How can you combat that? A budget. And I know that's an awful word to say, but making sure that you're in tune with what your income is and where it's going so that you can better manage when one area is going up in price. Maybe you can make some sacrifices or some trade-offs in another area. So that's the second takeaway. Third takeaway that I have is, again, with low interest rates. If you look at what prices have done here, especially in those red areas and how they've absolutely surged. Now, if I could overlay this chart with what interest rates have been doing over that time, we'd see interest rates absolutely dropping to the lowest levels they've ever been. And so we've got this huge divergence between being paid on our money, getting interest on our money, and actually the price, the inflation on the needs that we have, the goods and services. That is a recipe for the middle class feeling more and more squeezed. It just is. So what's the conclusion there? It's going to lead more and more people to take on debt. Well, my needs are going up in price, and I'm not having the income, or the interest rates are not going up, so I guess I'll use debt to help cover these things. To me, this is a chart that sort of lends itself to why we're seeing student loans and student borrowing go up as much as we are. So what can you do about that? What's the takeaway for you? Manage your debt load. Manage your debt load. Try not to get overextended. If there's a different way for you to help your kids get through school without having them get a mountain of debt, either them going to a community college, them going to a cheaper school, them working during college, working more during the summers, find a way to do so that you're not getting yourself overextended. And so with interest rates low and with our needs going up higher, it's likely to bring on more debt. Make sure you're insulated from that. And then the final thing, the fourth area, is the implications that this has for retirement. Your retirement planning, what are the things that are really, really needed? Healthcare is going to be one of your biggest expenses in retirement. If you look at all the data, it's surprising, but your largest expense is housing. And so when you look at those two areas, and then finally, what's the other thing you like to do, or what you imagine most people do in retirement? I mean, they're planning meals, they're going out to eat, they're doing leisurely type activities. Those are going up in price. And so again, getting started early, saving for retirement, making sure you make a wise decision with how you manage the tax shelters that are available to you, and making sure you make a wise decision when it comes to Social Security as well. Starting early with retirement and then avoiding some of those common mistakes that people make. Those are all takeaways that you've got to apply from this inflationary data. So I know we got into a lot there that's a little detailed, but check out this chart. Very, very interesting. Make sure you're working with your certified financial planner to see, all right, how does this apply to you? Are there other adjustments you need to make, or some planning considerations you need to have as a result of this information? You don't have a CFP on your team? Contact one on my team. We've got a whole team of CFPs that all work together with our CPAs and insurance professionals to give one cohesive, comprehensive financial plan and wisdom to our clients. So you can find us online, Korhorn.com, that's Korhorn with a K, wisemoneyshow.com, you can find us there as well, or send us an email, info@Korhorn.com. All right, there you have it. Go out and take your next wise step in your financial life.